Oh, no intro music. It's throwing me off my rhythm.
Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Orphan Black podcast. I am your host, Eric Plaskotch, for the first time and for every time. And I'm here with my good friend, Thomas Christie. Tom, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So just to give everyone who obviously will be getting into this podcast a little background, Tom and myself are good friends from Ottawa. I live in Toronto. He still lives in Ottawa. Um, I've been watching the Orphan Black show for 2 seasons now. Tom is not getting into it, and we have done podcasts on other material, mostly sports and kind of things about our friends and stuff. But now we actually want to do a proper theme podcast, and Orphan Black is just a great way to do it. It's shot in Toronto, which is where I now live, and we get to analyze it from the perspective of me, who have seen 2 full seasons, and then from Tom, who will be kind of going along fresh, recapping the episodes. And we're going to be breaking everything down for you, and hopefully, yeah, it'll be fun for me and you. What are you thinking, Tom? Are you excited about this podcast?
It's gonna be a wild ride. I'll tell you what. I hadn't heard of this show until you brought it on my radar. I saw some commercials here and there, but I just finished watching episode 1, and I am eager to dive into episode 2. Great cliffhanger, great show, super hot lead actress. So that's everything I'm looking for in a show, and I'm ready to be the fresh meat that takes the crowd along here, episode to episode.
Yeah, the first episode, I distinctly remember thinking like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" The pace of this whole thing.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, the pace of the whole thing is going to carry you into season 2. It never slows down, which is probably the most appealing thing about this entire show.
Okay, I can't believe it's Canadian too. Love supporting the Canadian content. Man, I didn't know that. I didn't know that until you just told me that. So.
Yeah, we'll get into that. The way I want to do this, and this is going to be new for us. So I'm going to break down the different plot points in the episode, and then we're going to comment about them, break each scene down, and then see where the conversation takes us.
Okay.
So first off, we see Sarah come into the scene. She just gets back into town. And she's talking on the phone. She's asking about someone named Kira. We don't really know what's going on. And then she walks over to the platform, and she sees another person who is identical to herself jump off and kill herself.
But she starts to strip first, which is really grabbed me right off the bat, because I was like, is this girl getting naked on this train platform? Like what? And then, but she just took off her shoes and her coat. And then lost herself in front of the train. Why'd you do that?
Why take off the shoes? I guess you don't want to like trip on the way over to the train.
Yeah, that's just like embarrassing.
Yeah, high heels are hard to maneuver anyway.
You have to wait for the next train before you can kill yourself.
Yeah, so she leaves her purse. Obviously, she just didn't want to take money to the underworld with her.
No, of course not.
No, might as well. It's a nice gesture. Leave it for someone else. And Sarah, like any of us would, does the noble thing and goes right for the purse.
And just yanks the purse. So we find out right off the bat that she's a little hood, like she's a hustler. You can tell she's a survivor. She's hot as hell. Like that hit me right away. So they picked a great lead, but she's not like cliche hot, like she's unique hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's got nice teeth, nice hair. She's a good height. She's a nice height.
Perfect height. She's a great height.
How tall do you think she is in real life?
I don't know. They always look taller on TV. I think probably like 5'4", maybe.
Do you think higher, taller or shorter than Tom Cruise?
Oh shit! What's he like? 5'6"?
T. Cruise might be 5 feet. I have no idea. I
heard like him and Vin Diesel are both super short. Like they have
Vin Diesel's short?
Yeah, man. When they film Fast and the Furious, when they film those scenes where him and The Rock are staring at each other, The Rock's like 6'4", right? When him and The Rock are staring at each other, he's standing on a milk crate. Because if they were standing, his eyes look like right below The Rock's shoulder. That's how much shorter he is.
Oh man. Okay. Well, next on the show, Sarah pretty much grabs the bag. She runs off, and we see her next in a bar, and she meets who we find out is her brother Felix, adopted brother. So
Great
they're
character.
both orphans, hence
Right.
the show title.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on Felix right off the bat? Seems like a nice guy.
Nice guy. They both have. Are they orphans from Britain? Why do they both have accents?
They're British. They're British, but they live in Scarborough, outside of Toronto.
Okay, so where's this show set?
I
It's set in
think
Toronto?
so. This was the whole thing. So
Because
at
the train in
the
New York City. I thought it was New York City.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe the directors didn't know where to set the show off right off the bat. So like the train said New York City, but I know this train. It's like the GO train. It doesn't go to New York. And and when Sarah's checking out the stuff and looking, it's all Canadian money and it's an Ontario driver's license.
Yeah, I noticed that
So
too. I
so
rewound to look at the money. I was like, was that Canadian money? Whoa, okay.
oh, definitely Canadian, but it's all 20s, so it was meant to be green because I think maybe some Americans would have confused it for American money.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know, all the money in Canada is multiple colors, and the 20 is green, and that's the only green one.
Also, she was using a payphone, which I found weird. I didn't even know those were still those. We still have payphones at train stations.
Yeah, you think even hood people can afford a burner phone?
Yeah, it's cheaper than paying. Man, I was at a payphone the other day. I wanted to make a call. It's to make a long distance call on a payphone. It's like $6 for a
Yeah.
minute. It's crazy.
I think it's like $1 to use the payphone.
Yeah.
Just
Anyways.
Anyway, bad choice there in payphones. Get a real phone. Okay. So at the bar, we find out that she pulls a bag of cocaine out of her purse. She says,
Huge bag of blow.
So we know Sarah's a partier, so good for her. And then she said she stole it from Vic the Dick. And it sounds later that Vic's her boyfriend. And we also find out she's looking for her daughter, and that she goes through the what's her name, Elizabeth Child's purse, and finds out that she has a nice place in Liberty Village, which is right near my house. It's just south of me.
Oh, I knew that looked familiar. Remember, I went through, I cabbed through Liberty Village back to the airport when last time I was in Toronto.
Yeah,
That's like that up and coming new neighborhood, right? Near Bellwoods?
I go jogging there. Trinity Bellwoods is north, but Liberty Village is like south of us. It's
Okay.
it's like condo-y kind of young professional
Yeah.
couples.
Yeah. Anyways,
And
that's cool.
yeah, and then Sarah goes snooping around her place. What do you think she was aiming to do when she first went snooping around?
Okay, so I just assumed robbing right away, right? So she's gonna go in there and just sort of grab whatever had any value, and then head back to Felix's place and try and fence it. But you start to see there's a little bit more to her as a character as she's going through the house. Clearly, she's thinking like bigger picture than just snagging a lamp and selling it for a couple $100 or whatever. She's going through the mail. She's on the phone with Felix. She's checking out she's going through the house like thoroughly to try and then obviously we see that she's setting up this con where she's going to propose as Beth and go to the bank and try and clear out her investment account, right?
Yeah.
So you start to see that there's a little like she's not stupid, like she's smart. And,
Yeah. So she learns going through all her shit that she has an investment account with $75,000 in it.
it's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, and then immediately she goes through the old videos and starts trying to imitate Beth Childs. So she's planning to. We know she's scheming something probably to get the money out of the bank right away. And then
Also, cool, sorry.
oh no, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Also, we get to see a nice gratuitous shot of her changing. That's these showrunners know what they're doing, man. They threw it in there quickly. She's a little like they didn't have to show that, but they did. So I appreciated that.
This is probably the best episode for the skin showing of Tatiana Maslany, who's the actress. This is enjoy it while it lasts because I think it starts to slow down in the later seasons.
Well, it's all downhill from here, nudity-wise.
Yeah, I know. It's like what's her name? Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. She had a strong first episode, and you never saw her again.
Which is she must have renegotiated her season 2 contract and said I'm not showing my breasts anymore.
I know.
Is Tatiana Canadian?
Yeah, I
Do you
think
have any
so.
background on her?
I think she's a Canadian actress. Pretty sure. That's what
I'm
I've heard.
very I'm swelling with pride to see. It was very very well done show. Like the action scenes, the
What part of you is swelling?
well, different for different parts at different times.
Okay.
Right now my pride though, because on a whole, I thought the show was extremely well done, and Canadian television has a reputation of being a little cheaper and chintzier than obviously the bigger budget American shows. But I'm super. I mean, I watched the show. I had no idea it was a Canadian show until you told me right before we started the podcast. So
Yeah, it's very Canadian and a very good show.
yeah.
And yeah, so Temple Street Productions is actually just down the street from me, and they're the ones who produce the show. And then BBC America, BBC Canada is in King Street, which is down the street from me as well. So hopefully, we'll see if they get into the podcast. Maybe we could be affiliated and go for lunch. Go for lunch with Tatiana Maslany. I think that's the end goal of this whole thing.
That is
Right?
the end game of this whole podcast. We're gonna put in all kinds of hours just
Yeah,
to try to get 1 hour of FaceTime with Tatiana.
yeah, that's the end game. Okay, and then later in the episode, we then meet Vic the Dick, who is a lot tinier than I thought he would be. I thought, Vic the Dick sounds like a sketchy character. He was almost comical because he's so
Yeah.
small. What do you think of Vic
Another,
off the bat? Would you be
uh,
afraid if he started trying to smack you around? I don't think I would.
I mean, if I was, sorry, what's the guy's name? Who's her brother? She
Felix.
calls him B, Felix. If I were little tiny scrawny guy like Felix, I probably would be intimidated by Vic. But I feel like you or I, if he came in the door right into a choke slam like he did to Felix, I don't think that would phase us as much as it did the tiny guy Felix. So, anyways, no,
Yeah,
Vic looked very short as well.
yeah.
We
He's jumping up and down on the couch. I'm just thinking it's a little bit silly. Come on,
yeah,
Vic.
he's hard to
No,
take him seriously.
yeah. You're wearing, you got the hipster hat on. I'm not,
And,
I'm
I,
not
and
fretting.
that little short girl took him out with an ashtray too. But he can't be that tough. He got in a little domestic squabble with tiny Tatiana, and she KO'd him with an ashtray. So
Who do you think wins in a three-way fight between Tatiana, Felix, and Vic? If it's like Super Smash Brothers and they're all going at the same
they're all
time.
in the ring right away. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we got to count Felix out right away. He seems like
Felix is out first?
he's a lover, not a fighter. And I don't know. Tatiana's so resourceful, man. I feel like she'd jump off the wall, grab something close by, and just smash Vic on the back of the head with it quickly, and then all my money's on Tatiana. She's a survivor.
Yeah, I think I rank her first, Vic far below.
Her, Vic, and then Felix way,
And then
way down
Felix,
there.
coming in the rear.
Felix to place.
Okay, so then we learn after this that Tatiana has a plan. She goes to get the money from the bank, and also simultaneously Felix is gonna identify the dead body as his sister rather than Elizabeth Childs. Just off the bat, was this a good idea? We don't really know the background of Elizabeth Childs.
So yeah, exactly. So she's walked. Obviously, the bank manager and her have met before. So I was like, that's really risky to walk in there because you may figure out that something you're not who you say you are. And also the death faking plan, I wasn't super on board with because I was concerned about like what if it got out to other people like her daughter and that she faked. Like obviously trying to get Vic off their back, right? Because they have his $20,000 for the blow, but there's other people may find out, which ends up happening. Spoiler alerts. And so, anyways, this whole fake the death and bank plan, when they launched it, I was like, this is a recipe for disaster. I was very nervous off the bat.
Also, you don't really know the motives of Elizabeth Childs when she jumps off in front of the train. It's like, yeah, you could chalk it up to, she might just be a crazy person, but you go to her house, she has got really nice stuff, got a pretty hot boyfriend. If I do say it so myself.
He's
and
a
then,
hot guy. Gotta see his.
He
Gotta
hits
see,
the gym for
we
sure.
gotta see his butt cheeks and everything. He was looking real good, real
Actually,
good.
spoiler alert, for the rest of the series, you see a lot of butt cheeks on Paul.
Paul. So Paul's gonna be hanging around as a character,
His butt cheeks are like are hanging
predominantly
around,
featured.
very
So,
predominant in the show.
so I'm gonna get less Tatiana nudity, but more. I'll balance that with more of Paul's butt cheeks.
Exactly. That's what we're going for.
Okay, that's fine. All right, I'm fine. I'm back. I'm in.
Okay.
Sidebar. I want to ask you a quick question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Right now we're on the topic. Why do you think, you probably know actually, but when you were at my junction, when you just seen episode 1, what did you think the reason was for Beth's suicide? Because I have no idea right now. Obviously, maybe she shot that girl and she's really rattled about it, but I'm assuming there's a lot more to it. But I have no idea.
I was very much so at the start of the episode, I was very much hooked because I knew the whole thing was going to be about the suicide. The whole, police I almost don't want to talk about this now because I was going to be getting into it, but I'll just tell you,
Okay, no, that's fine. Sorry.
I was you kind of watching the episode, and like each step of the way, I was kind of thinking, okay, at this point it's about this, and then then it kind of changes along the storyline. But at first, I was kind of just a deer in headlights. I was just trying to absorb as much to try to figure it out, because they don't give you much for the whole episode until the end.
Well, they hint to the pills when she goes in the medicine cabinet when Tatiana first gets in there.
Yeah.
So the medicine cabinet is full of pills. So like obviously she might have some issues. Mm-hmm. And then so I thought at first it was that she got like really hooked on pain meds or antidepressants or something, and then killed herself. And then when the big reveal that she's a cop pops in, I was like, okay, well obviously there's a whole other layer of stuff going on here with her. So.
Yeah. So let's we'll get to that in a second. So we're at the bank. She's trying to get the 75K, and Steven the banker, not the best banker. So
just very willy nilly with the 75K.
Very willy nilly. I'm afraid to give Steven my business. So she walks in, and he's like, I want to make a withdrawal on this account. He's like, oh. Well, you just opened it like 2 days ago. She's like, yeah, but I'll leave $500 in, so it's okay. Just keep the account open, just in case I want to put $74,000 back into it.
And he's like, okay, well, it might take 2 to 4 days, but that's fine. Like, not
2 to 4 days. So then this is terrible for anti-money laundering. This is like a very suspect withdrawal. If you're a banker, you are thinking this girl is in the mafia or something.
Yeah, what is going on here? A lot of traffic in this account in 3 days.
Oh, you're just parking 75K for a day? Okay, yeah, that's cool.
75,000 in, 74,500 out. 3 days later.
Yeah, so I'm nervous about that, and then Sarah Swedens him over, agrees to sponsor him in a charity run, and that speeds up the 2 to 4 day process.
He's like, it's 2 to 4 business days. What if I sponsor your charity run? And she like flicks her hair and he goes, deal. Like so good. The whole scene is like a minute long. Deal. It's right away.
You know how much effort that's gonna be for Steven to change the entire process of getting $75,000 in and out of the bank, so you can get like a $200 sponsorship on a charity run?
Yeah, for your stupid run. Yeah, so Steven probably got fired.
Steven dropped the ball. He
is about to get fired.
He doesn't make it too far in the show, so I just assume he gets fired from the bank, and then he's a homeless guy asking for change in season 3.
Now, does this you think this $75,000 has something to do with? My 2 theories were they changed obviously as the show went on, but did they have to do with this like weird set of twins or triplets? Are they doing something on the side to make cash? Because the other girl's birth certificate was in there, or is this money from her job as a police officer? It's a large amount of money. That's why I'm wondering.
So I'll give you, because I do know what it's for. I'll give you it's not from her job as a police officer. The 75K is kind of a suspicious amount of money, and it's not related to her police work. It's in a separate account that ties into the show.
Okay, cool. Because you have to think of police officers making, a detective maybe 60 grand. So a
Yeah.
one $75,000 deposit is pretty massive. So
Yeah, especially because that condo in Toronto is like $700,000.
yeah, it's a really nice place. And she's driving a Jaguar, right?
Yeah, this ain't no. This isn't some Canadian
It's not a
police
public
officer
servant
salary.
salary.
No.
Well, but it's safe to assume that Paul, with butt cheeks like those, earns a pretty good salary too, right? So,
What do you think Paul's occupation is off the bat? Butt cheeks model?
well, I mean, he may be like a part-time butt cheek model, but was he in Cleveland modeling butt cheeks?
Well, the butt cheek scene is pretty good down there.
Yeah. I don't know. He had like the open dress shirt blazer look of a guy who's been financed potentially on a trip, nice place. So that's what I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't dressed like maybe a lawyer guy on finance would be my two guesses. So
yeah, it could be butt cheeks.
It could be butt cheeks.
Who knows? Yeah. After episode 1, we don't know.
I feel like if he was a butt cheek model, he would have been dressed a little more casually coming home from his trip, probably in like jeans and a t-shirt. I would think, not like an open like a blazer and a dress shirt. That's all. That's why I guessed financer. Obviously, I'm hoping for butt cheek model.
Okay, and then after where were we? After she takes out the 75, or she asks for the 75K, she heads back to her place and she gets abducted by this guy who's been calling her all day, which is Art.
Oh, that's Art. Okay, I did not connect those two things. Good to know.
So she kept getting the calls from Art on Elizabeth Child's phone, and then finally he shows up on his house, and he's like, "Oh, I hope you're ready." And we're kind of left hanging, thinking, "Oh shoot, what is going to happen next?"
Yeah.
And then after commercial break, we come back and we learn that Beth Childs is a cop, and unfortunately, she needs to make a really important statement, and the timing is really bad.
That day.
And we learn kind of right away that the statement revolves around her shooting an Asian lady named Margaret Chan.
Who pulled out a cell phone, I guess, and she mistaked it for a gun.
Yeah,
and she
exactly
popped her.
Mm-hmm. So
that's intense.
Pretty intense. That's it sounds like one of those timeshare weekends where you think you're just getting a nice room, you think you're getting your 75K and no one's going to bother you, and then they're selling you the whole time or questioning you for shooting someone.
Yeah. Like, I mean, now that we've talked this out a little bit, that sort of certainly points more towards the suicide. If her testament, like she had to give that statement that day and she committed suicide the night before, like the timing seems more than coincidental to me.
Yeah, definitely. And then Sarah does something really smart. She goes to the bathroom, tries to abort the whole, the morgue thing that Felix is doing. He's going to identify the body as her at the morgue. And then she's like, abort, this girl is a cop. I don't want to be this girl. This is too crazy. And Felix is too busy flirting with the morgue
trying to bang the mortician.
Yeah,
I love Felix, by the way.
Even with this, even with the smell of death in the air, it really doesn't just hold those two back.
No, that's a funny little scene too. And they have a funny little look when he goes back later with Vic the Dick. They have that funny little look at each other, like they probably banged. Anyways, I get a huge kick out of Felix.
Yeah. So then Sarah, she drinks the soap. Pretty smart idea. And then yaks it in the statement meeting.
Oh God, she just hammers that whole thing. It's soap. That'd be so disgusting. I don't even know if that would make you. Would that make you puke? I don't know. That is just. Ugh.
Yeah. The thing about that is, if you did puke, it would smell really good. So the two wouldn't add up. If you're thinking.
Because I thought maybe she's gonna like lean over and puke down on the carpet, and then who cares what it is? But she threw up on the middle of the table, and it would have just been all soap, right? So like it would
It
have
would have
been
smelled okay.
bubbly and pink, and it just and they wash their hands in that washroom every day, so they're like, that's clearly our hand soap. I would be able to tell, right? Like, did you
Yeah.
just chug a bunch of hand soap in the washroom? Like, these are professional detectives. Their job is to like take evidence and make a conclusion, and they just like look at the vomit and go, they close their folders up and they just storm out. I'd be like, yo, something suspicious is going on here. That's
Yeah.
why the banker doesn't notice. He's a moron. The professional detectives don't put two and two together there. And her boyfriend, who like is pointing out all these things that clearly aren't. Like, your hair's longer. I got to cut. It's longer. Like so many obvious things. And then she just rips his pants off and he forgets everything and he's happy as a clam. So there's a lot of less than sharp people who are letting her get away with this at first.
Yeah. If I was at the police station, I was outside the room, I'd ask if anyone was running a bubble bath because it smelled so good.
Yeah, because you for sure, and especially like the last little bit when she was like blowing out of her mouth, there would have been bubbles there. You know what I mean? Like it would have been obvious. I think it would have been obviously soap.
Yeah.
She had just drank it, so her stomach wouldn't have broken it down or anything. It would have come out almost exactly like it went in, all over the table, right in front of everybody. Anyways,
Yeah.
moving on. I digress.
Moving on. Okay, so then we go through the episode. Felix tells Vic about Sarah's suicide. Then we already talked about it, but Felix and the mortician have a little smoky moment while Vic is hugging Elizabeth Child's dead body. It's yeah, pretty morbid show right off the bat.
Morbid show, but I love how it's very layered. Like they develop the characters quickly, and then like we already have like this. Usually it takes a few episodes for shows to get to this point, but they already have like we already know Felix. I feel like I know him already, his quirky little personality, and they already tied that back in with the mortician the second time they went. You know, I think it's great. I'm one of the best like pilot episodes of a show I've seen in a long time. Usually shows take a little while to get to where you're like really into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one, and especially because it's Canadian, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. And then after this whole debacle goes on, Sarah gets back to home base. She's pretty much waiting on the 75K to come in the next day, and then Paul comes home and starts asking a lot of questions. And she's not doing a good job answering them.
Really
She's getting really suspicious, and then so immediately she turns on the sexuality and just bangs him. And Paul's indisposed after that. He's not asking anything. He's like,
No,
I'm not gonna grill her anymore.
All is well, yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that would work if you and me were getting questioned by your girlfriends? What do you think?
So I don't. I mean, I think I for sure would, especially if she just like jumped me in the kitchen like that and it got real hot and heavy. Yeah, I would. We would have sex. But I would still have the questions after we were done. He's just lying there in the bed like so relaxed and happy. As soon as we were done, I was like, first of all, and you know this as well as I do, these two people have never had sex before in their lives. It's safe to assume that him and Beth have had sex hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of times they live together, right? So right away, the way that they have sex with each other, you would notice. It'd be like, you know what I mean? Like they look the same, but they're not the same person. So how sex, I think, would have just been another question. I've been like, yo, what was that? I've been begging you for 3 years. You've never done anything like that. You know what I mean? And the hair's longer. And like, so anyways, I feel like the sex would just raise more questions with me instead of shut me up.
I guess, but if it's a identical match, you could be like, whoa, you're doing something different. I'll go with it. It's a good direction.
But the way you kiss, like, you know what I mean? Like, you make out... Everybody makes out differently, especially when you have a rhythm with someone you've been hooking up with for a long time. You would notice right away, like, some things you definitely pull out something new, something fun, but, like, you don't change the fundamental style of how you...
Yeah.
I
haven't changed my kissing style since grade 6. So it's raw and undeveloped.
It's unique, it's messy, it's confused. But
Um,
everyone knows it's you right away. They would never mistake you for twin Eric.
yeah. They're like, oh God, what was that? And then twin Eric would come by, and you're like, oh, well, Eric, you made some improvement. I wouldn't even question it. I'd prefer twin Eric. Um, so next in the plot, we got Vic takes it pretty hard, and then he goes back to Felix's place. And Felix is wearing probably my favorite outfit in the show. It's a kimono and a black thong that you get to see.
The black thong underneath. That's an awesome. They had to show us that too. Eh?
Oh yeah. What do you think? Who's better, Paul's ass or Felix's ass? They're both pretty good.
Paul's got those like big butt cheeks, you know. Like Felix is a little dainty guy. I don't know. I'm a big butt cheek kind of guy, so Paul's gonna take this one for me.
Okay, that's good. And then pretty much they decide we gotta make a funeral for Sarah. We need some closure in this whole Sarah thing. And
Right.
Felix is like, oh, yeah, that's a fun idea.
I don't know why Felix agreed to that. It's so stupid.
He
He
seems
should.
like an artsy kind of hipstery guy, and he's into the whole fake funeral thing. It seems like a good idea to him at the time.
Yeah, I don't know what good could go. I guess getting Vic off his back is the only good that could come of that. But I
Hmm.
mean, you would have to think that Sarah wants to see. I mean, those are her friends, I presume, at the funeral. You'd have to think that she wants to go, even though she faked her death. She still wants to see her friends once in a while, right? And then
Yeah.
of course, like the nightmare scenario, her kid shows up. Like,
Mhm.
yeesh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how the invite got to the kid. I don't know who invited them. Oh well. Well, we'll get to
Well,
that in a bit.
their invites were strewn across the table, like they were like little flyers that Felix had made. So who knows who he passed those out to, and then
Yeah.
word must have got around.
Yeah. Maybe there's a
Uh,
face.
you,
Hello.
you probably know this. Who is Mrs. S? They refer to Mrs. S a bunch of times.
So
Who her
Mrs.
daughter's
S
with?
is Mrs. S is the lady that's taking care of her daughter right now. You kind of assume she's involved in their lives. You know, they're orphans. It's safe to
Hmm.
assume that she was the one who kind of took care of them growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, right after they decide to go forward with this funeral business, Sarah gets the money from Steven and has success written all over her face. She's not even tried to hide how giddy she is.
Yeah.
That she
She's
conned
just
this
staring.
stupid idiot banker.
Here's your cash. Thank you. She's staring at the money like I can't believe that this worked. Yeah.
Yeah, and Steven's like, oh well, okay, we'll see you around. Yeah,
See you at my next run.
yeah. Keep the $500 in the account for your run there, Steven.
Oh,
And
what a
then
dummy.
yeah, and then she goes back to Felix's place, and then realizes that Felix is hosting the funeral, and on the way, Art is tailing her, and he finds her little trust fund in the trunk. So what do you think? What do you
Yeah,
think? Art's
So Art breaks into her car when she goes up to Felix's place, right? She
yeah.
goes up the stairs, and he comes over and breaks in.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. What is Art? Were Art and her partners at some point? Like Art seems to be invested in this shooting story. Like he seems, or are they just getting Art to babysit her so she doesn't run away? What's his role in this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they said it yet, but her and Art are partners. That's
They
not
are
like
partners.
it's not like a twist or anything. So I'll tell you that. And
Yeah.
he says at the beginning of the episode, or during the first part where you saw him, I'm involved in this too, and my ass is on the line. And that's right
Yeah.
before you found out that she needs to give a statement about killing Maggie Chan. So Art's kind of involved in that somehow, but you're not sure to what extent.
Right. Okay. All right. So he's following her because she's acting suspiciously, obviously, and he's trying to
Yes.
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so he's following her. She has the weekend bag that she claims is just going to the gym.
Just going to the gym as she puts like fucking dresses and all kinds of shit in there. Just go to the gym, and
What gym are you working at?
Yeah, Paul's a dummy too, eh?
He's like, oh
Paul's
yeah, I wear my suits to the gym too. It's actually way better.
And we know Paul goes to the gym. Don't get
Yeah.
a bod like that without going to the gym.
Yeah,
That,
Paul knows what a gym bag is supposed to look like.
yeah, he knows exactly what goes in a gym bag.
Yeah. Okay. And then at the funeral, Felix is gets the call from Sarah, and he's talking on the phone the whole time at Sarah's fake funeral. I think that's a
Like,
bit rude, don't you?
and about he's talking about the people, like he's making fun of people, and he's standing 1 foot behind them. Like he walks by
He's
that
actually
one.
like pacing like between them as he's like doing
Yeah,
this.
and they hear him, like they look like he's, who are you on the phone with?
And Vic's
Anyways.
like, should we do this another time, Felix? We're halfway through.
No, I have to take this call. It's very important. He's an artist. Who could possibly be calling him?
And then, then the worst thing possible happens. Mrs. S and Kira, the daughter, show up to the funeral, and Sarah's like, "Ugh, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen."
Freaking out.
Yeah, and then not too much to discuss there. And then Sarah goes back to the parking lot where she was kind of staring at this girl, or at the funeral from. And we meet Katya, who is another lookalike, who's now in the mix. So we find out that all the birth certificates that you saw in the safety deposit box are actually lookalikes on the show.
Okay, so just for my benefit, was Elizabeth Childs in there, and Katya was in there, and there was a third one, no?
I think there's two more.
Two more. I can't remember the names. So it's safe to assume that there's a couple of more coming.
It could be.
Could be. Who knows? That's why
it could be. Elizabeth Childs and Katya's birth certificates were in there, and then there were a few more. And then Felix says at one point, all these girls are born within the same month as you. She's like, it's a coincidence. It's
I don't think we can
chalk it up to a coincidence. It's a huge coincidence that there's an identical person to me, and that all these birth certificates are within the same month.
Yeah. Also, I noticed Katya was coughing up blood. Like she seemed very sick.
Yes.
So I could be way off here, but if you think back to all those sci-fi movies that ever have like cloning or anything like that in it, people always get like sick. It doesn't last. You know what I mean? Like they always the clones get sick and then die because you can't clone someone. They don't live for very long. Thinking of like The Island and movies like that. So I thought right away, I was like, oh, maybe like they're clones, and this is what happens as your clone gets older, he gets sick and dies. I don't know. I'm pretty way off, but it's a cool thing to think about. Like what I loved about this show is that it just blasts open all these storylines right off the bat, and then it leaves you to think like what's coming next. So, anyways, carry on.
I'm not gonna give it away, but that is definitely a possibility in the entire show, but you don't know for sure yet.
Okay. Cool.
And then she meets Katya, really standoffish with Katya. She doesn't really give her the time of day.
Yeah, you think someone
if you met if you met an identical person to yourself, I would talk to him for a bit.
I would have so many questions, first of all, and you're looking for answers. Who better to provide them than your identical twin, who you know is linked to you because you found her birth certificate in the safety deposit box. Also, identical to you. Like, you have to, you know what I mean? Like, but she's freaking out. She just saw her kid. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt there that she's just too high-strung and panicked to make a logical decision, but...
Yeah, a lot's going on. I think, personally, there's a whole mystery behind what's going on. This girl seems to know what's going on. I would just tell her, okay, get in the car. Let's discuss what the hell is happening.
Yeah, who am I?
But
what's going on? Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, Katya gets in the car, and it doesn't end up too well for her. She gets sniped in the face.
Woo! That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, what were you thinking at that moment?
Of all the twists in the show, that was the most surprising of them all. Like, it came out of nowhere. And then that was such a cool scene. This is what I was talking about when I was saying how well I thought the show was done. As she slow-mo like dove down and like the bullet hit her headrest right where her head just was. That was such a cool scene, man. And then when she started the car, that whole that was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking the sniper is on the funeral side of the water, right? Like, because obviously, I think it's hard to orient myself. Like, was she parked right behind where she was standing with the binoculars?
Yeah, you don't really know the landscape. You don't really know where the sniper came from, but I'll tell you right
Mhm.
now, it wasn't on the other side of the water.
Okay. So, I mean, now my head was spinning for sure because we know Art was following her. Where was he when this all went down? Who, really, there's more questions than answers right now for sure, but like, who would want the twin dead? What is the twin, like, who's the twin threatening here, right? Like,
Yeah,
anyways, I can't wait to find out, man. I am on pins and
yeah.
needles here.
And then the last scene of the show, and this is the perfect way to end the episode. So originally at the beginning of the show, she finds two phones in Beth Child's purse. One's like the fluorescent hot pink one. The other
Yeah.
one's, her regular phone.
Hmm.
And then she sees Katya's, she's dead in the back seat. She's making her getaway. And she sees Katya's phone starts ringing. And then she's like, oy vey. And then that stops ringing, and then her hot pink phone that she stole from Beth starts ringing as soon as that one stopped. So you
Same
know the same
ringtone.
person is calling the same phone, and this
Yeah.
is the first piece of the puzzle to figure out this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so cool. So, oh man, I honestly I like to consider myself a pretty insightful person, but I would just be grasping at straws to try and guess what's going on right now. The only
Yeah,
thing I had was the clone thing, and I don't know. And other than that, like, oh boy, they all have different accents too. Like that's the other thing, right? Like one's American, one's Russian. It seems like Sarah is British. So like,
mhm.
are they planted? Are they spies? Like, are they assassins? Like, are they clones? Like, who knows? It's wild, man.
Yeah.
What a pilot.
It's a great pilot, and what I just want to get your thoughts. What do you think about Tatiana Maslany? She is the one who plays all the roles. I thought she did a wonderful job, kind of embodying all the different characters. Even when the characters are pretending to embody the other character, it's still very believable.
You have to, I mean, I don't know anything about acting, but you'd have to think that's one of the more difficult things to ask an actress to do, right? Is play a character who's playing a character, right? It seems like, and still maintain the illusion for the fans. I don't know. I was into it the whole time. Like to me, it was very believable. I thought she was dynamite. Where'd she come from? I'm gonna when we're done this pod, I'm gonna do a little reading on our friend Tatiana. Get ready
Yeah,
for our lunch.
I think I am get ready for lunch. Yeah, I think I am DB'd her, and she really hasn't been in too much. I think like some walk-on roles and like some low-budget movies, but this has
Hmm.
been really her breakout. This show, and it's already gotten a pretty cult following. And right now, they don't know if they're going to renew for season three,
Oh, it's up in the air.
but because I think the viewership hasn't been too strong. Not a lot of people know about the show, but it's been critically acclaimed and well reviewed, kind of all over. So I think they'd be idiotic not to make another season.
Well, we've seen this happen so many times, and I think it's a function of our generation. Who's I know a lot of people that you and I know are very quick to just download shows and watch them, and there's no real way for the people who are tracking ratings to track that. Like, you can track views on iTunes, you can track who tuned in when the show is on TV, but there's probably another like another thousands and thousands of people out there who are downloading the show like I did tonight. Broadcast I'm downloading things illegally, but and then watched it right at my leisure. So it's hard to track that. We know what happened with Arrested Development and some other great shows that were canceled after only a couple of seasons, but then
Mhm.
turned out they were critically acclaimed and they turned out to have huge followings when all the dust settled, right? So
Yeah, and I like to just make a first point that it should be okay for a show like this to be downloaded on the internet. Right now, you want to get a following
yeah, oh yeah.
and get everyone up to speed because the episodes actually air on Saturday nights, and it's
Hmm.
not the best time to
It's
get a
not a
wide
good time
audience.
slot.
Most people are do whatever they want to do on weekends at Saturday night at 9 o'clock. So right now you just want to get people following and on the show so that they tune in every Saturday at 9 o'clock. So whatever means they have for absorbing the content should be fine.
Agreed. I agree big time. It should be available online for free. You'd think any new show would be foolish not to do that. What time and what channel does it air on Saturdays?
So in Canada, it's on Space at 9 o'clock on Saturdays.
Oh God, that's an awful time slot on like an obscure channel. I only know that channel because like sometimes when I'm channel surfing, there'll be like a rerun of an old like cool movie on there that I'll tune into for like a few minutes. But I've never once watched a show on that channel. I don't think. Maybe X-Files a million years ago.
Yeah.
This is, man, just from the first episode, this show should be on like ABC on Thursday nights. It needs a major slot. You know what I mean? Or like Sunday night, like Game of Thrones. Like it's that kind of show. I think it has the potential to be, anyways.
Yeah, it would definitely. Even just to change the time slot just would do it a huge service, because Saturday night at 9 is just the worst slot.
No one on earth watches TV Saturday night at 9 o'clock. You have to be a huge losers who's home Saturday night at 9 o'clock, right?
I know. You have to be like two losers podcasting on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. Those are the only people that you're going to attract.
So when do you and Sam watch it? Do you guys watch it on Saturday? Do you guys PVR it and watch it the next day?
We've been catching up, so I haven't been watching. So I caught up for the season 2 last 2 episodes, which were fantastic. And I think that my hope is that we can catch up this podcast, like do one a week, and try to catch up to the start of season 3, and then start recapping them actually after they go live.
That would be so much fun. So wait, right now we're on season 2, episode what?
This one, or one?
What's happening live right now? Like, is it? You're in
season 2, the episode 10, which is like the final episode, just aired Saturday.
Okay, so it's 10 episode seasons. Okay, that's awesome. So we'll do that for sure.
Okay, so for all the listeners, we're gonna do one a week. Tune in with us. Do Tuesday nights work for you every week, or does your schedule change?
Tuesdays are usually good for me.
Okay, so we'll try to do this once a week, every Tuesday, until we got schedule conflicts. But we're gonna try to get it up on orphanblackpodcast.com, and then I'm actually gonna email post show recaps, which is a good podcast network, and they actually are looking, they look for contributors. So I'm going to submit this and see if we can get anything going with them. But if you like what we're doing, please leave comments on the website. And let us know your feedback, because we always appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for doing this with me, Tom. I will catch you next week. And then, good job. Awesome start to the season.
All right, buddy. Have a great night.
All right. Peace.
See ya.